Hi friends, happy Easter. So today I found a list of 5 reasons why some people believe in Jesus. Let's get started. So first off, the tomb of the dead Jesus was empty. So apparently Jesus died and 3 days later some women claim the tomb was empty. It is very significant that this whole Christianity thing hinges on an empty tomb and a missing body, because those are the things that are publicly verifiable and empirically falsifiable, meaning that it could be proven by the public and it could easily be changed by the government or people in power. So Jesus was killed and buried in Jerusalem, and in Jerusalem people claim that Jesus has rose from the dead. The people in charge were opposed to Jesus, and they opposed people who claimed he had risen from the dead. Those people can easily squash the whole thing by producing a body and proving the people who claimed Jesus had risen wrong. They certainly tried to search for Jesus' dead body, but they failed. The second reason is supposed modern appearances. Whether or not anyone today believes Jesus rose from the dead doesn't change the fact that many people in the first century believed they saw Jesus, encountered him, and interacted with Jesus after his death. Jesus appeared to many people in different places and at different times. For instance, 1 Corinthians 15:3-8 has stated that Cephas, the disciples, more than 500 men, etc., had seen Jesus after his death. You might think, oh sure, using the Bible as evidence that Jesus came back from the dead, lol. Yeah, some people seem to think the Bible is a book that magically popped into existence, sort of like the way many people think the universe did. But before the canon, which means the Bible Christians use nowadays, this book of Corinthians in the Bible was not a book in the Bible. They were letters from a guy named Paul. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of him. Written to a group of folks in the city of Corinth. The letter is about how Jesus appears to hundreds of people. These sort of evidence are known as primary sources. The date of this letter is written up about 20 years after Jesus' death. The third reason is the conversion of Saul of Tarsus. So Saul, who later changed his name to Paul, was an important guy from an important family in an important city. He was going to become a prominent religious leader who enjoyed Sabbath, walks on the beach, and oversees the detainment, imprisonment, and killing of the new Jesus people for their blasphemies. Basically, Saul had everything a guy at that time and place could have wanted. However, he decided to join his enemies, people who followed Jesus. Saul threw away his reputation, authority, wealth, social standing, and every other thing he had worked for his entire life, so he could travel thousands of miles and subject himself to lashings, beatings to the bricking of death, stonings, shipwrecks, starvation, dehydration, and years of imprisonment. He did these all so he could tell people that Jesus is the Son of God and the Savior of the world. Either he did those things because he was bored with his super nice life, the perfect life, or he did it because he met the resurrected Christ. The fourth reason is the boldness of the disciples. The followers or disciples of Jesus denied Jesus when he was alive because they were scared. So people who claim to know Jesus will definitely be arrested and treated horribly at that time. However, after they saw Jesus, after Jesus has risen from the dead, they had the courage to proclaim the gospel, proclaim Jesus' resurrection. Peter, one of the most known disciple at the end of his life, was crucified upside down for preaching the resurrected Jesus, who he claimed to have met. Other disciples had similar fates. James was executed by sword. Thomas and Matthew were spared to death. Philip was tortured and crucified upside down, but was skinned alive, crucified upside down. Andrew, James, Thaddeus, Simon were all crucified. These men claimed to have interacted with the risen Jesus. Would they fearlessly proclaim this all the way to their deaths if they were just stories that they made up, or if Jesus was just a dead man? Lastly, last reason that I'm going to list here, it's a short list, but well, yeah, these are quite interesting list of things. So lastly, the explosion of Christianity. The powerful people hated Jesus because Jesus had many followers, and those people were threatened by Jesus. So naturally, they had tried to prevent the news from spreading. However, the number of converts multiplied exponentially, bearing in mind that at that period of time and at that place, the idea of worshipping a man as God deserved a condemnation. So it was an insane idea to them. So why did Jesus' name spread? Again, Jesus' tomb was empty, his body was missing. Hundreds of people encountered him after his death and told everyone they knew, swearing on their lives that they saw Jesus with their own eyes, also willing to die rather than deny that Jesus was risen. These sort of things about this man would get around, you know. So my message is that if Jesus did not rise from the dead, there is no Christianity. If he did rise from the dead, rose from the dead, he's who he claimed to be. This is just a small list. As I said, I gathered from this article on Adam 4D. It's a website that kind of explains a lot of issues people raise, non-Christian or Christians raise. So I basically read most of it out so that people who do not like reading can have a listen, and I'll put the link down below. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to email me or talk to your Christian friends or find a church to talk to some people. You might not be convinced by this list, but if this is what Easter is about, it doesn't have to, it doesn't hurt to look into it, does it? Anyways, thank you so much for listening. Have a great day.